Hi guys, it's Richard from Hockey Tutorial, and today we're looking at the NICC Speedmaster. It's their signature stick and this little bit of tech here, and we'll get onto that in a little while. But first of all, three things I'm going to look at. How does the blade do? How does the overall function of the stick work against its competitors? And where does that fit in at the price point? This is a $299 stick. So guys, as you can see, this stick has a specific standout technology, and it's this blade cutout. Now, first of all, it's nice to see companies doing something a little different. It's been a little while since I've seen something quite as dramatic as this particular change. Obviously, in the past, we've had things like the Reebok O stick and Warrior when they had the spine pattern down the back of the blades. And it's really great to see companies trying to think outside the box and look for something new that's going to give us as players an advantage. Eventually, it's going to happen. It's going to stick. And that thing will just become mainstream, and we're probably getting quite close to something a little bit new. Obviously, materials have changed over time, curves changed in the 50s or whenever. So we're looking at constant technological advancement, and that's good to see. So here's a few of the things that NICC claim have made this stick completely different. So it's got a unique weight distribution that gives it 3 distinct power zones. Obviously the blade cutout is totally different, and that has its own specific set of positives and benefits. Hopefully this blade is not to open up as much as traditional hockey blades. As we'll go later in the video, you'll see whether or not this actually panned out. So overall, it's a well-engineered stick. It's light, it looks the part. So let's get into how it performed. Okay, so we're going to start off with the blade. The blade being the unique feature on the stick, something I've never seen before, something I've never had any experience with, obviously, until now. NICC claim that this is able to produce a much stiffer blade. Well, when we say stiffer, we mean a blade that's less likely to open up during shooting or deform during shooting. Now, if you go over to NICC's website, they've got a few 5,000 frame videos that'll be able to show you this versus a competitor stick. Now, pros and cons of this. I'm going to go through what I think are the cons straight up, because everything has cons. My cons for this are you're losing space on the blade. I know specific NHLers who order thicker blades on their sticks because they want that extra little ½ an inch, whether it be defensemen, forwards, tip-ins, play on the boards, anything like that. They want that little bit of extra height, and that's what you're going to sacrifice. So ultimately, the question here is the benefits of this cutout worth sacrificing that little bit of stick blade? Does that make a difference on the ice? Well, for me personally, it was more of a mental thing than a physical thing. The puck never jumped over, or I didn't feel like that cost me anything in the time I was using the stick. However, I did play differently depending on the situation. So for example, I'm a defenseman, if I was last man and the puck is bobbling, and we have bad ice in Peterborough, so it bobbles a lot. I was worried about maybe having it jump over the thinner part of the blade and get behind me, especially if someone's rushing at me. So I was sacrificing half the blade because I was making sure I was using the toe instead. Now, for most of us, that's not going to be an issue. I mean, using the toe, using the heel, it's a similar level of ability. If you're one of those people that really hates using the toe, then maybe that's going to be an issue for you. But overall, more of a mental thing than the physical thing. So, pros of the blade. Obviously, when you're putting this level of engineering in, you're expecting results. The price point of the stick alone should mean that you're expecting results. This stick blade didn't feel any worse than other top-of-the-line sticks that I've used. And that's including your Bow 1Xs and your Trigger 2s. It didn't feel any worse. Did I think it was particularly better? Because ultimately, if you're going to start sacrificing things, you want extra performance. I didn't think it was overtly better than those sticks. The blade, talking about the blade in specifics. I didn't think the blade was overtly better than those sticks. So you've got to ask yourself, is it worth sacrificing if you're not getting any extra performance? Up to you. Maybe you really like the way this feels. If you ever get your hands on one, it's an interesting stick to use. It does feel different. Maybe for you, this is what works. Overall, the blade performs really well. Stick handling feels good, shooting feels good. It doesn't feel like it deforms. I'm not taking 5,000 frames worth of video, so I can't show you, but it feels pretty good. If you want to see that stuff, NICC's website, we'll link it down below. You can go look at their videos for yourselves. One of the things that I was concerned about is obviously this isn't a traditional stick manufacturer, and therefore durability is going to be a concern. Now, I had a few training sessions and a couple of games. For me, games are always the one to test durability. You've got slashes, playing in front of the net, getting into the corners, stick lifts, all the rest of it. All that stuff is not what you're getting in practice unless your team is going real damn hard. So that's my real acid test. This stood up really, really well. I was pleasantly surprised overall. Even these two corners, I wouldn't really call them like large corners, but where this cutout is here, I was worried that they wouldn't be able to stand up quite so well to damage. But we've had no issues there. So assuming that they don't take any direct skate cuts, etc., should be fine to go ahead and play with. Overall, durability has been really, really good. This part of the stick is exceptionally well engineered. And when I say exceptionally well engineered, I mean, take all the hockey sticks in the world, this is exceptionally well engineered. It does exactly what it says on the tin. I don't have any complaints about it. Everything about it is positive. Obviously, we've just had a quick discussion about the pros and cons of losing this area. Small cons, for small pros, if I'm honest, you're looking at an equivalent level of performance that you're going to get in a 1X or let's see, a Trigger 2. I would say it's equivalent performance level. And that's high praise. Those are good, really good sticks. Watch the previous review. Those are good sticks. This section is great, but I didn't personally get on with the shaft of the stick as well as I got on with the blade of the stick. So here's the thing for me, and this is going to be the takeaway from this review. The price of this stick means that you're in rare air. 1X Lite, Trigger 2s, Warrior Alpha, best sticks on the planet. Sticks that are well funded, well researched, well engineered, well executed, well advertised. All of the above. The pinnacle of what we've developed within hockey sticks. And because of that, you're getting a very high level of criticism, because if I'm sitting there with $300 in my pocket, this needs to really do well to take me away from brands that I know and have experience with and trust. Because that's the thing, I trust these brands. I know exactly what I'm getting. I'm excited as hell when I get these sticks in the post. Excited as hell. So let's look at this. The blade. Is it any worse than top of the line sticks? For me, no. But as we're looking at it, we're sacrificing something that we're not sacrificing in other sticks, and that's area on the stick blade, which again, doesn't seem like a lot, but occasionally it's going to crop up. So even if it's a minor con, you need at least a minor positive to balance it out. Is this a better stick blade than those blades? I'd struggle to say yes, but the only reason is it's the same. Like, this particular technology, which should be, if you're going to sacrifice something, it should be providing something different, provide something that you can definitely get in certain sticks. Super Tax 2.0, a stick that I didn't really get along with, that has two spines running through the blade, has been recently beefed up to be extra durable, has a very similar feel to this. So yes, this has the feel of a $300 blade. Does it feel any better? No. Does it feel any worse? No. Is it worth the sacrifice of this little bit of stick? Up to you guys to decide. If you're lucky enough to go and get hold of one of these and give it a try, give it a try. You might really get on with it. However, now that we're looking at $300 sticks, this area on those $300 sticks is very, very good. To the point of being not me saying this is one section and this is one section. When I'm reviewing those other sticks, I'm saying they're different parts of the stick, but they're pretty glowing responses all along. Now, this section is not as good as a blade. And the reason for that is not consistent. And it's not a word that you hear me say, it's not an expression you hear me say about sticks very often, but consistency is very, very important. I can't guarantee that my shots go in the same place every time with this stick shaft. The stick shaft, for me, was not as good as the stick blade. Now, that's not to say you are not going to get on with this stick. It's plenty good enough. It wasn't as consistent as some of the other sticks that I'm lucky enough to use, your Bauer 1X Lights, etc., etc. The sticks you always hear me mention, it isn't on that level for me. However, the blade, very, very good. Overall, as a product, I'm going to struggle to say it's on exactly the same level as those sticks due to the fact that this area is equally good and this area for me is not quite as good. I'm just saying, if I were to review it at its price point against its direct competitors, I don't put it in the same triple A bracket that some of your major manufacturers are getting. It's really that simple. So all of that has very quickly brought us around to the conclusion on this, the NICC Speedmaster. What do I think of this stick? Now, as I've said, I empathise with paying $300 for a hockey stick. We all love hockey. I love hockey. You love hockey. Chris loves hockey. It's still a lot of money. $300 is always going to be a lot of money to me. I'm saying dollars. It's obviously pounds here. Similar. It's a lot of money. This section is worth it. I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to have a bad word to say about the blade. Yes, it's got a bit missing. Does it give you huge pros? Maybe, maybe not. But is it competitive? Yes, it's absolutely competitive. It's up there with the best stick blades I've used. And that's high praise. However, my only drawback for this particular stick is this is the only stick where I sit here going, this section great, this section different. This section, from the hosel down towards the toe, grand. This section going up, you're still looking at $300. It's a $300 stick. It's against those high level sticks. It's against massive levels of engineering. This, for me, didn't perform on that same level. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, because this is still a great stick. And ultimately, whether or not you buy, whatever stick you buy, if you pick this up in a store and you get on with it, be my guest. Like, I'm not the authority. I just give you my opinions on each stick as I come by them. And overall, let's not forget, this is a totally new technology. So this is a company that's pushing the envelope and trying to do something new, and that should always be commended, because as I said at the start, somebody's going to crack something one day and we won't have thought of it, and all of a sudden that's going to be the mainstream. Companies try new things all the time. The scale of those changes, this is a very large scale thing to try out. Like, this is obviously different. A lot of the things you see from major manufacturers are not obviously different carbon fibers, etc., etc. Things we've talked about in the past. This is a huge, huge leap into the dark with the technology that they've developed, and it's performed admirably. Like, that's the honest truth. It's performed admirably. I would love to see a 2.0 version where this section is slightly different. If this was more consistent, maybe a little bit, tiny bit lighter. It's not a heavy stick, but 1X light is going absurdly light now, for example. If this was a little bit lighter, I'd be even more happy with it. Overall, it's a competitive product in a hyper competitive market. That top end of stick sales, that's where all the tech goes, that's where all the money goes. It's a very, very, very good effort for a company that is not mainstream and trying something very, very new. Ultimately, guys, I'm just here to give you the pros, the cons, and my honest opinion about every product that comes our way. It's up to you guys about what you're going to decide to roll with for this coming season. For those of you that are interested in learning more about this product, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a link down below for NICC's website that has their slow-mo videos, more information about how they made the stick, and more information about their technology, etc., etc. If you're interested in following us, so if you like this video, obviously hit subscribe. We'll have some more videos over here, and hopefully we'll see you next time.